Admiral John Carter stood tall in his crisp blue uniform. The Galactic Council chamber stretched around him in a perfect circle. 500 alien representatives watched from raised seats, their eyes, some glowing, some multifaceted, some barely visible, all focused on the human. "I will speak plainly," Carter said. His voice carried through the chamber without effort. The translation devices hummed softly, converting his words into 50 different languages. 3 Earth colonies attacked in 1 month. Thousands dead. And this council does nothing. The Grand Arbiter raised a long silver hand. The Nilari's skin reflected the blue lights of the chamber. "Admiral Carter, we have expressed our deep concern about these incidents." "Concern doesn't stop the Mrazek ships," Carter replied. "Concern doesn't bring back the dead." For 50 years, humans had played by the rules. They had joined the Council as the youngest species. They had contributed ships, resources, and soldiers to Council causes. They had fought in 3 Council-approved wars against destabilizing elements. They had adjusted their laws to match Council standards. They had shared their technology and accepted limits on their development. And now, when they needed help, the Council offered nothing but words. The Mrazek Empire had grown bolder each year. First, they took empty systems near human space. The Council called it a regional border adjustment. Then they harassed human trading ships. The Council advised patience. Now they attacked full colonies, and the Council debated proper procedure. "The diplomatic committee requires more time to assess the situation," said the Zeth representative, her feathers rustling with what humans had learned was discomfort. "We cannot rush to judgment." Carter looked around the chamber. A few representatives nodded slightly, showing support they dare not speak openly. Most looked away or busied themselves with their data screens. The Mrazek representative sat with his arms crossed, mandibles clicking in what Carter knew was amusement. "Humanity has waited," Carter said. "We have followed protocols. We have filed reports. We have sent evidence. We have counted our dead while you hold meetings." "Admiral," the Grand Arbiter's voice took on a harder edge, "you will respect proper Council protocol. Earth joined this Council understanding our methods. Methods that have maintained galactic peace for 3,000 years." Carter felt something break inside him. Not in anger, but in clarity. He thought of President Wright's last words before he left Earth. "Use your judgment, John. We trust you." Without a word, Carter unpinned the Golden Council emblem from his uniform. The small action echoed in the sudden silence of the chamber. He placed it on the speaking podium. The metallic click unnaturally loud. "Humanity withdraws from the Galactic Council, effective immediately," he said. "We will defend ourselves, since no one else will." Gasps and whispers erupted. In 3,000 years of Council history, no species had ever withdrawn. Some races had been expelled, others had been conquered or gone extinct, but none had simply walked away. "This is unprecedented." The Grand Arbiter's voice rose. "There are procedures for grievances." "Admiral." Carter turned his back on the podium and walked toward the exit. The massive doors, carved with the history of the Council, swung open before him. "Admiral Carter, this action cannot be recognized without proper documentation and transition periods." The Grand Arbiter stood now, silver skin flushing dark with emotion. Carter didn't look back. As he walked through the doors, the Council erupted in chaos behind him. Outside, his aide waited nervously. "Admiral, what happened?" "Contact Earth," Carter said. "Tell them we're on our own now." He looked up at the artificial sky of the Council station, where holographic stars represented every member world. The Earth star still shone among them. Soon it would be removed. "And may the stars help the galaxy when they realize what they've done," he added softly. News of Earth's withdrawal spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. The quantum communication network buzzed with alarmed messages between worlds. Council representatives called emergency meetings. Military vessels changed course. Stock markets on 100 planets crashed, then recovered, then crashed again. In the Oval Office on Earth, President Olivia Wright watched 6 different news feeds at once. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, and deep circles had formed under her eyes. "The public is split," said her chief of staff. 52% support leaving the council. 48% think we've made a terrible mistake. Wright nodded slowly. "And what do our allies in space say?" "The Talavians have reached out privately. They were the only council race that voted to help us against the Mrazek. They won't leave the council, but they want to maintain relations." Outside the White House, crowds gathered. Some waved signs supporting the decision. Others demanded a return to the council. Police kept the groups apart. On the other side of the world, Ambassador Frank Daniels sat in a small cafe in Geneva. Across from him was Kutl, a Talavian diplomat. The alien's blue skin and 4 eyes drew stares from other customers. "You understand that I'm not here officially," Kutl said quietly. His outer eyelids blinked nervously. "Of course," Daniels replied. At 65, he had spent most of his life building relationships with other species. Now he was trying to save what he could. "We appreciate any help you can offer." The council is in shock. No one expected this. Some are angry, some are frightened. Kutl leaned forward. "The Mrazek are already making moves. They've taken another outpost in the Vega sector." Daniels clenched his fist under the table. "With no council restrictions, we will respond differently this time." In a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Chief Engineer Laura Bennett guided a group of military officials through a large workshop. Workers assembled strange devices combining Earth tech with adapted alien designs. "Without council regulations limiting our development, we've been able to combine technologies in ways they never permitted," she explained. Her hands moved quickly as she showed them a weapon prototype. This disruption field would have violated at least 15 council treaties. General Scott Phillips nodded with approval. "How soon can we deploy?" "First units ready in 2 weeks. Full production in 2 months." On the bridge of the defense station orbiting Mars, Colonel Chris Morgan studied tactical displays. Red dots showed Mrazek fleet movements. The station had been upgraded 3 times in the past 5 years, each time pushing against council restrictions. Now those restrictions were gone. "Sir," a young lieutenant said, "we're receiving reports that the Krathor have destroyed their council communication hub. They might be following our lead." Morgan allowed himself a small smile. The reptilian Krathor had never fully accepted council authority. "Interesting times ahead, Lieutenant." At the edge of human space, a small fleet gathered. Ships modified beyond council specifications, crews training with new tactics. For decades, humanity had followed council doctrine in everything from ship design to battle formations. Now they were creating something new. On the flagship, Admiral Carter reviewed the latest intelligence. The Mrazek thought they were dealing with the same humans who had been bound by council rules for 50 years. They would soon learn differently. "The Mrazek fleet will reach Titan's Hope colony in 3 days," his tactical officer reported. Carter nodded. "Then that's where we meet them." And that's where everything changes. The word spread among the crew, then across the fleet, then back to Earth. Humanity would make its stand at Titan's Hope. After 50 years of compromise and concession, humans would fight their way. The Mrazek attack fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Titan's Hope colony. 20 warships, their hulls covered in sharp angles and sensor-absorbing materials, moved into attack formation. The Mrazek commander, First Hunter Vrak, clicked his mandibles with anticipation. This would be like the other human colonies. Easy prey since the humans followed predictable council defense protocols. "Scans show minimal orbital defenses," his sensor officer reported. 1 small station, 2 patrol ships. Vrak made a gesture of satisfaction. "Begin the approach. Standard formation." On the bridge of the hidden human flagship, Colonel Chris Morgan watched the Mrazek fleet on his tactical display. His ship, along with 5 others, waited behind Titan's Hope's larger moon, shielded from Mrazek scanners. "They took the bait," Morgan said. "They see only what we want them to see." 6 months ago, such a tactic would have violated Council military codes, which required all defensive forces to be clearly identified. Now, freed from those restrictions, humanity fought differently. All ships, prepare to engage, Morgan ordered. Activate the new shield systems. The patrol ships visible to the Mrazek suddenly changed. What had appeared to be standard Council-approved designs transformed as hidden systems came online. Armor plates shifted, weapon ports opened, and energy readings spiked. On his ship, Vrak stared in confusion. What is happening? These readings cannot be correct. Before he could adjust his strategy, the hidden human fleet emerged from behind the moon, cutting off the Mrazek retreat path. The colony itself revealed ground-based weapons that no civilian settlement should have possessed. This is Colonel Chris Morgan of Earth Defense Forces. Morgan's message broadcast on all channels. You are surrounded and outgunned. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Vrak snarled. Mrazek did not retreat. Fire all weapons. Call for reinforcements. The battle that followed shocked observers across the galaxy. The human ships moved in patterns never seen before, using technologies that combined Council science with Earth ingenuity. Chief Engineer Bennett's new shields absorbed energy that would have destroyed ships under Council specifications. When the Mrazek reinforcements arrived 2 hours later, they found only debris from their own fleet. Not a single human ship had been destroyed. Back on Earth, news of the victory at Titan's Hope spread quickly. In her lab beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Karen Mitchell watched the celebration with mixed feelings. As a scientist, she had chafed under Council restrictions for years. Her theories about energy manipulation had been dismissed as potentially destabilizing to galactic scientific consensus. Now, with those restrictions gone, her team worked around the clock, testing ideas that would have been forbidden months earlier. The results were promising and concerning at the same time. The Council held us back, she told her assistant, but maybe they had reasons. Some of these technologies could be dangerous. We're being careful, her assistant assured her. And we need every advantage against the Mrazek. In orbit around Earth, a Council diplomatic vessel waited for permission to dock. Inside, 3 envoys from different species prepared to meet with President Wright. Remember, we must convince them to return, said the Pelax envoy, her tentacles rippling with anxiety. The balance of the galaxy depends on it. They won't return to the old arrangement, the Geranian envoy replied. His reptilian face showed no emotion. The humans have tasted freedom from Council oversight. They will demand changes. Then we negotiate, said the third envoy, a Melosian with shimmering skin. But the Council must bring them back before more species follow their example. As their shuttle descended toward Earth, they passed dozens of ships under construction in orbit. New designs, new weapons, new futures taking shape with every passing day. The envoys watched in silence, each wondering if they were already too late. President Olivia Wright sat across from the 3 Council envoys in the White House meeting room. Large windows showed the Washington Monument in the distance. 4 months had passed since humanity left the Council. We are prepared to offer Earth special status, the Pelax envoy said, her voice translated smoothly by the device on the table. Your military would have greater independence than other Council members. Wright kept her face neutral. And what would the Council require in return? Only that Earth rejoin the Council structure and share your new defensive technologies, the Geranian envoy said. His clawed hands rested flat on the table. The technologies we developed after you refused to help us, Wright asked. The room grew quiet. The Melosian envoy leaned forward, skin shifting to a calming blue color. The Council recognizes mistakes were made, but galactic stability requires that all species be treated equally, Wright interrupted. Your offer is declined. After the envoys left, Admiral Carter joined the president. The Talavians have officially requested an alliance, he said, outside the Council framework. Wright nodded. And what about the Krathor? Their ambassador arrives tomorrow. They've had conflicts with the Mrazek for centuries. The Council always forced compromise. Now they want to fight back. Across the galaxy, news traveled between stars. Alien merchants reported strange sights in human space. New shipyards, new weapons, new alliances forming. Council trade routes began to shift as smaller species sought connections with Earth. Commander Diane Baker stood on the bridge of her ship as it approached the Krathor homeworld. The planet looked like a green and brown jewel against the black of space. Ambassador Allen is ready for the meeting, her communications officer reported. Baker nodded. She had never expected to become a diplomat. 6 months ago, she had been a simple ship captain. Now she led the fleet that would establish the Mutual Defense Compact, the new alliance between humans, Talavians, and Krathor. The Mrazek have attacked 3 systems at once. Allen told her as they prepared to shuttle down to the planet. They're trying to overwhelm us before our alliance becomes official. Baker's expression hardened. Then we respond at once together. Lieutenant Paul Jackson moved silently through the dark corridors of the Mrazek command station. His team of 6 Special Forces soldiers followed close behind. Their armor, black and form-fitting, absorbed light and sensor scans. Such infiltration tactics have been forbidden under Council military guidelines. The Council believed in open warfare, ship against ship. But humans had centuries of experience with special operations that the Council had never valued. Target located, Jackson whispered into his comm unit. Central command node ahead. As his team placed explosives on the station's power systems, 50 similar teams struck across Mrazek territory. The coordinated attack caught the Mrazek completely by surprise. On Earth, crowds gathered outside the new Alliance headquarters in Geneva. The building, once used for council affairs, now served a different purpose. Flags from Earth, Talaver, and Krathor flew side by side. Inside, General William Foster watched data screens tracking the battle. The Mrazek are retreating in all 3 systems, he reported to the President. Our first joint operation is a success. The Council, meeting in emergency session, voted at last to intervene against the Mrazek. Their announcement came 3 hours after the Alliance had already won the battle. Too little, too late, Foster said when he heard the news. On a small colony world near the edge of human space, a Viridian merchant watched the victory celebration in the settlement's main square. His species had been council members for 1,000 years, yet he found himself drawn to the energy and freedom here. "You're thinking of staying?" asked the human bartender. The Viridian's skin flushed with color. "Perhaps. Things are changing. The old rules don't seem to matter anymore." "Welcome to the new galaxy," the bartender said with a smile. 2 years passed since humanity walked away from the Council. The galaxy changed in ways no one had predicted. Admiral John Carter stood on the observation deck of Earth's new flagship, watching stars drift by. The ship, twice the size of any previously built by humans, represented everything they had achieved since breaking free of Council restrictions. "Admiral, we have a visitor requesting permission to come aboard," his aide said. Carter raised an eyebrow. "In deep space. Who?" "A Mrazek envoy, sir." Carter's hand instinctively moved to his sidearm. The war with the Mrazek had turned in the Alliance's favor 6 months ago. After losing their main shipyards, the once aggressive empire had gone silent. "Security protocols in place," Carter ordered. "Bring him to the diplomatic room." The Mrazek envoy was smaller than most of his kind, with fewer battle markings on his exoskeleton. He bowed his head slightly as Carter entered, a human gesture that must have been learned specifically for this meeting. "I bring a message from the new Mrazek leadership," the envoy said. His voice translator made the clicks and hisses of his language sound almost melodic. "We wish to discuss terms." On New Hope Colony, Governor Stephanie Gray walked through the market district. Around her, humans worked alongside Talavians, Krathor, and even a few Viridians who had left Council space. Buildings combined architectural styles from different worlds. Children from different species played together in parks. "The new school opens next week," said her assistant, pointing to a large dome-shaped building. First in the Alliance to offer classes for all member species. Gray nodded with satisfaction. When she had proposed the colony's new governance system, taking ideas from each Alliance member rather than following Earth or Council models, many had doubted it would work. Now other colonies were copying what they called the New Hope model. In the Grand Council chamber, empty seats showed where once loyal members had departed. The Viridian hierarchy, impressed by human independence, had reduced their participation to observer status. The artisan guilds had withdrawn completely, finding better trade opportunities in the new routes established outside council control. We must offer significant reforms, the Grand Arbiter told the remaining representatives. His silver skin had dulled with age and stress. The humans have created an alternative that grows stronger each day. A junior council aide entered with an urgent message. The Arbiter read it, and his skin paled further. The Krathor have signed a formal trade agreement with the Mrazik, he announced. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Former enemies working together outside council frameworks was unprecedented. On the colony world New Hope, Vice Admiral Eric Sanders watched military exercises from a viewing platform. Troops from Earth trained alongside Krathor warriors and Talavian specialists. Their fighting styles and equipment had melded into something entirely new. We should expand further, Sanders told his officers. The Council is weakening. Now is the time to secure more territory. Admiral Carter and President Wright favor consolidation. One officer reminded him, strengthen what we have rather than risk overextension. Sanders frowned. Times change. Leadership must also change. Back on Earth, Dr. Karen Mitchell led President Wright through her laboratory. Displays showed strange energy patterns and device schematics that would have been forbidden under Council scientific restrictions. We detected these signals from the edge of known space, Mitchell explained, pointing to a pulsing pattern on the main screen. They match ancient warnings and records the Council dismissed as myths. Wright studied the display. Warnings about what? The precursors, Mitchell said quietly. The species that supposedly existed before the Council, before any known civilization. Supposedly. The Council claimed they were legends, but our research suggests otherwise. Mitchell called up a new image, what looked like a massive ship, far larger than any known vessel, and the evidence suggests they're returning. In the Council diplomatic wing, an emergency message arrived from deep space monitoring stations. The Grand Arbiter read it 3 times before looking up at his advisors. It appears, he said slowly, that we may need the humans after all. Long dormant sensors at the edge of known space activated one by one. Built millennia ago by hands long turned to dust, they awoke to their purpose once more. Ancient systems designed to warn of a specific threat began transmitting across frequencies no modern ship could detect. No modern ship except one. Captain Nickel Reeves stood on the bridge of the Explorer, humanity's first true long-range research vessel. Built without Council restrictions, it incorporated technologies from all Alliance species and experiments no other ship had attempted. There it is again, said her science officer, pointing to a pattern on the display screen. Same signal, stronger this time. Reeves studied the pulsing light. Can we determine the source? Beyond the galactic rim, the officer replied. Farther than any Council ship has ever traveled. Reeves made her decision quickly. Plot a course. Maximum speed. On Earth, Dr. Karen Mitchell worked day and night decoding the strange signals. Her team had found references to the precursors in ancient human texts ignored by the Council for centuries. While other species had erased such myths from their histories at Council direction, humans had preserved them in obscure libraries and digital archives. The signals contain mathematical patterns, she told President Wright during their daily briefing, and embedded inside those patterns are images. Wright leaned forward. Show me. The display lit up with strange geometric shapes that slowly resolved into recognizable forms, star systems, planets, and what appeared to be massive ships. They're coming, Mitchell said simply. And according to these signals, they've been here before. In the council chambers, emergency sessions lasted for days. Representatives argued about proper procedures for handling unverified threats. The Grand Arbiter cited ancient protocols that required specific committees to evaluate the evidence before any action could be taken. "We don't have time for committees," the Talavian ambassador said, breaking protocol by speaking out of turn. "The humans are already responding to the threat. The humans act without proper authority," another representative countered, "as they always have." On a neutral space station at the border between Council space and Alliance territory, delegates from both powers met in secret. Admiral Carter represented the Alliance, while a senior Nilari diplomat spoke for the Council. "We propose a temporary unification of forces," the Nilari said, silver skin rippling with the effort of making such an offer, "to face this potential threat from beyond the rim." Carter's face remained neutral. "And after the threat is dealt with, return to the old system." "The Council has existed for 3,000 years, the Nilari replied. "It has maintained order. It has maintained stagnation." Carter interrupted. "We will share what we know about the precursors, but only if the Council acknowledges a new relationship. We will not be subjects again." At the edge of the galaxy, the explorer dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Before them stretched emptiness, unlike anything in known space, a true void between galaxies. "Sensors detecting something massive," the science officer reported, voice tight with tension. On the main screen, a shape appeared against the blackness, a ship or station so large it defied comprehension. As they watched, smaller objects, still enormous by normal standards, separated from the main structure. "They're launching vessels," Reeves said. "Are they headed toward our galaxy?" "Calculating trajectories now," her navigator replied. Then, after a pause, "Yes, they're coming our way." Reeves made the hardest decision of her career. "Turn us around. Maximum speed back to Alliance space. The galaxy needs to prepare." When the Explorer returned 3 weeks later, representatives from both the Council and the Alliance waited. Captain Reeves shared everything they had discovered: images, sensor readings, and data stolen from the precursor vessels. "They will reach our galaxy in 3 months, she told the grim-faced leaders. "Their technology far exceeds anything we possess, separately or together. The Council demands you turn over all information to our science division," a Zeth representative said. "Ancient protocols require." "No," Reeves said simply. She looked at each face around the table. "The old ways won't save us now. We need something new." The first precursor probes entered the galaxy 30 days after Captain Reeves' return. They moved faster than any known ship, passing through defense systems without slowing. They scanned planets, stations, and ships, then disappeared before anyone could respond. "They're testing us," Admiral Carter told the emergency meeting of Alliance and Council leaders. "Learning our capabilities." On the main view screen, red dots showed where the probes had appeared. The pattern made no sense to most observers. "They're following old patrol routes," said Dr. Mitchell. "Routes from their previous visit thousands of years ago." The Council representatives shifted uncomfortably. For centuries, they had dismissed stories of the precursors as primitive myths. Now those myths had returned in terrifying reality. Commander Peter Shaw led the first fleet to make contact with a precursor probe. His ships, a mix of human, Talavian, and Krathor designs, approached the alien object cautiously. The probe, shaped like a silver sphere 20 meters across, hung motionless in space. "No response to communication attempts," his communications officer reported. "Hold position," Shaw ordered. "Continue broadcasting on all." The probe suddenly expanded, its surface rippling like liquid. In seconds, it launched dozens of smaller objects toward Shaw's fleet. "Evasive action," Shaw shouted. The Alliance ships reacted with the new tactics developed since leaving Council restrictions behind. They moved in unpredictable patterns, shields reconfiguring to adapt to unknown threats. The smaller probe objects attached themselves to 3 ships that followed standard Council defensive patterns. Within minutes, those ships went dark, all systems failing. Shaw made a quick decision. Target the main probe. All weapons. The combined firepower of the remaining ships struck the probe simultaneously. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the probe's surface dimmed, and it slowly collapsed in on itself. "We heard it," Shaw said with surprise. "It's retreating." Across the galaxy, similar encounters played out with varied results. Council forces following traditional protocols suffered heavy losses. Ships using the newer adaptive alliance strategies fared better. In her laboratory on Earth, civilian researcher Lisa Howard worked with data collected from the defeated probe. While military leaders focused on weapons and defenses, she searched for something else, a way to communicate. "The probes aren't just weapons," she told her small team. "They're gathering information. That means they want to know about us." After days without sleep, she found a pattern in the signals the probes emitted before attacking. Not random noise, but a complex language of mathematics and energy. On New Hope Colony, Governor Gray converted public buildings into shelters. Citizens from all Alliance species worked together, strengthening defenses and stockpiling supplies. When a Council ship arrived carrying refugees from worlds closer to precursor activity, she welcomed them without hesitation. "The old divisions don't matter anymore," she told her Council. "We face this together, or not at all." In Council space, the response was less unified. Some worlds followed ancient protocols for civilization-threatening events, which mostly involved complex documentation and committee formation. Others looked to the Alliance for guidance or simply prepared to flee. The Nilari themselves, founders of the Council, split into factions. Some insisted on maintaining traditional responses, while others argued for adopting Alliance methods. Lisa Howard's breakthrough came in the early morning hours. Using the patterns she had identified, she created a response signal. When the next probe appeared near Mars, she was ready. "Sending the communication now," she told Mission Control as the probe approached Earth's defense fleet. The probe stopped its advance. For long seconds, nothing happened. Then it emitted a signal of its own. Not an attack, but a response to Howard's message. What did it say? Admiral Carter asked when he received the report. Howard's face was pale as she translated. It said, "Evaluation continues. Final test approaching. Whatever these probes have been doing, they're not the real threat. They're just preparation for something bigger." Carter looked at the star map, where red dots showed probe activity across the galaxy. "Then we need to be ready when the real test arrives." The final precursor test arrived without warning. Massive ships appeared simultaneously in Council space, Alliance territory, and neutral systems. Each was identical, a perfect simulation of what the true precursor invasion would bring. "All forces, engage according to new protocols," Admiral Carter ordered from the command center on Earth. Since Lisa Howard's breakthrough, they had prepared for this moment, distributing information to every ship and colony. On the front lines, Commander Shaw led the Alliance fleet against the precursor vessel in the Talavian home system. His ships moved in the unpredictable patterns they had developed, combining human adaptability with Talavian precision and Krathor power. "Target their main energy nodes," Shaw ordered. Pattern Alpha. The Alliance ships struck simultaneously, then scattered before the precursor vessel could respond. Unlike the probes, these ships were heavily armed and shielded. Nevertheless, the coordinated attack disrupted their defenses. In Council space, the Grand Arbiter watched from his command ship as the traditional battle formation approached the precursor vessel near the Council homeworld. Despite reports from the earlier encounters, the Council military had insisted on following ancient battle doctrines. "Execute standard engagement pattern," the fleet commander ordered. The Council ships moved with perfect precision, exactly as they had trained for thousands of years. The precursor vessel seemed to study them for a moment, then fired. Half the fleet disappeared in a flash of energy. "Retreat," the Grand Arbiter ordered, his silver skin pale with shock. Abandon standard protocols. Adopt human tactics. Too late, the remaining council ships tried to break formation and fight differently. Only 3 escaped. Across the galaxy, the pattern repeated. Alliance forces using adaptive tactics survived and sometimes prevailed, while those following rigid council protocols were devastated. In orbit around New Hope Colony, Governor Gray stood on the bridge of a civilian transport converted to a medical ship. They had evacuated the planet's children and elders to safety, while those who remained fought to protect their home. The Alliance fleet has damaged the precursor ship, her aide reported. They're actually winning. After 48 hours of battle, the precursor vessels suddenly ceased fighting. Each one sent the same message. Test complete. Results recorded. Then they simply vanished. 3 days later, representatives from across the galaxy gathered on neutral ground, a space station at the galactic core. The remaining council members sat on one side, Alliance leaders on the other. Many seats remained empty, representing worlds and ships lost in the test. Lisa Howard presented her analysis of the precursor communications they had intercepted. They were testing our ability to adapt, she explained. Different societies, different approaches, all facing identical threats. The results are clear. The Alliance's adaptive strategies were far more effective than traditional council protocols. The Grand Arbiter rose slowly, looking older than anyone had ever seen him. For 3,000 years, we believed our ways were superior. We enforced uniformity in the name of stability. We were wrong. Admiral Carter nodded in acknowledgement but said nothing. This was not a moment for triumph. President Wright stepped forward. The real precursors may still come, or this may have been their only purpose, to test if we've grown beyond what they found when they last visited our galaxy. Either way, we must be ready. She looked around the room, not as council or alliance, but as a galaxy of diverse species with different strengths. Our differences are not weaknesses to be eliminated. They are advantages to be embraced. 5 years after humanity walked away from the council chambers, the galaxy had transformed. The old council continued to exist, but as one voice among many rather than the sole authority. New frameworks for cooperation emerged, built on practical results rather than ancient doctrines. Admiral Carter, now gray-haired but still commanding respect, stood with Ambassador Daniels as they watched ships from dozens of species working together to build the new galactic defense network. "Did you ever imagine this when you removed your council pin?" Daniels asked. Carter shook his head. "I only knew we needed to find a better way." As they spoke, sensors at the edge of the galaxy detected unusual activity. The real precursors might truly be coming after all. But this time, the galaxy would face them not as subjects of an inflexible council, but as diverse allies who had learned the most important lesson. Sometimes loyalty to civilization requires the courage to walk away and forge a new path.